Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode on The Voyage Within. I am your host, Brittany Jackson. I specialize in personal development and how to live an authentic life leading from your heart. On this week's voyage, I wanted to try something different. I want to dedicate this episode to some friends that I know that are going through some shit. Who out there is going through some stuff in life that they feel is overwhelming, confusing, and they are taking that all out on themselves? All three of these friends that I have in mind are shut down, they feel defeated, and they feel hopeless. Some of them are trying to do the right thing, and they're trying again, and maybe they've tried again and again and again and again. What do you do when you have a goal for something that you want out of life, and you feel like you keep failing or you keep falling short? What do you do? Do you beat yourself up? Do you talk yourself up? Do you believe in yourself? Are you your own cheerleader, or are you your own bully? How do you show up with the person in the mirror? Do you see that person in the mirror as your best friend or your foe? I believe so much in our life is how we see and treat ourselves. How can you be kind to others when you are not kind to yourself? How can you love others when you're not loving yourself? I'm not saying that that is an all or nothing statement. Back when I didn't value myself or respect myself, it's not that I was all mean and miserable all of the time, but I wasn't able to see people and appreciate them for who they really were. I wasn't able to hold space for them and love them in the ways that I do now that I have a relationship with myself. I believe everything that I do in my life begins with me, that I'm the change that I wish to see in the world. I have to be it to become it. And what does that mean? What does all of that mean, and how do you get there? Well, for one, I think you have to realize how you are getting in your own way. How are you cutting yourself short? And I think a lot of that is how we view ourselves and how we speak to ourselves. When you make a mistake, are you saying, God, I'm so stupid. I can't get anything right. What is wrong with me? Why do I always do this? Or do you say, hey, that's okay. You're allowed to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's part of being human. You don't have to make it harder on yourself by beating yourself up. I love you and I forgive you. How do you respond? How do you treat yourself? Do you treat yourself the same as you would a child or a friend? And if you aren't kind to yourself, why? I know for me, I used to be unkind to myself because I didn't know anything differently. That was either modeled by people that I was around, so that was my natural environment, and I would also show up that way. Or it was also from so much hate and anger I had built up from maybe past people that have hurt me, or past life scenarios that didn't go how I wanted and needed them to, or even against myself. When I made mistakes and I never forgave myself for them. So then when I continued to make mistakes, it's like I would continue to hold myself hostage and use them as proof of this is why you're not good enough. This is why you're unlovable. Look at all of this that you've done. But I don't think that's fair, because I can guarantee that you've forgiven a lot of people for things that have really hurt you. Maybe you've let somebody back into your life time and time again after they hurt you. So why can't you forgive yourself? Am I a gift to myself, or am I a hindrance? What is that perspective? as you try to pay attention to how you show up and how you talk to yourself, there are techniques that you can do to start talking to yourself better. You could write a list of the things that you love yourself for, maybe in general, maybe personality traits, maybe that you love that you're caring, or you're generous, or you're considerate. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're really good at a certain hobby. Or you can start with things that you can celebrate yourself for today. Did you make your bed? Did you feed yourself breakfast? Did you get that workout in? Did you hold the door open for somebody at the store? Where can you start giving yourself the credit that you deserve? Why are we taught to keep ourselves small? Why are we taught to not celebrate ourselves like that is a sign of ego or conceitedness? There's a balance to it. There's a difference between, oh, I suck, I failed again, and oh yeah, I'm the shit, I'm better than everyone. There's a balance. What is that balance? It's that I celebrate myself and I forgive myself and I love myself for exactly who I am, and I deserve respect. I deserve fulfillment, and I allow it to start with me. What can I do to treat myself better today? Maybe you can't change the shitty situation that you're in life. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you can't figure it all out in one day. But what would happen if you took some pressure off yourself and stopped holding yourself to such an unrealistic and perfect standard? What would happen if you allowed yourself to make a mistake and forgave yourself and loved yourself? What would happen if you complimented yourself and celebrated yourself? What would your life look like? And if you haven't tried that, are you willing to try that today? I see these friends that are each going through something unique and challenging for them, that they are beautiful, wonderful human beings, that they deserve the world, but most importantly, they deserve to be kind to themselves. There's this saying in my program that says, we will love you until you can love yourself. And that means something to me. That's where it all began with me. People believed in me and saw something in me that I didn't see it myself at the time. I once too thought I was unlovable and undeserving and unworthy. And people would show up and love me anyways when I told them the mistakes that I had made in the past or the wrongs I'd done to others. They said, yeah, I've done wrongs too. We're all human. That's a part of life. What matters is what we do with those mistakes and with those people that we hurt. Do we do the next right thing? Do we right a wrong? Do we take accountability? Do we apologize? There is so much freedom in taking ownership for yourself in how you do and don't show up. In seeing that other people did not leave me or abandon me, judge me, criticize me, and they held space for me and probably even loved me all the more, it gave me a new perspective and permission to show up with myself differently. Why would I show up any different with myself that has done these things if I don't show up different with them, knowing they've done things as well? That doesn't really make sense now, does it? What I see with people that find themselves in a rut, or they feel like they keep self-sabotaging, or life feels too defeating, it's that they can't take it easy on themselves. They can't forgive themselves. What is that going to help walking around holding yourself hostage and prisoner to something that happened in your past that no longer exists anymore? Today is a new day. Today is a new day to begin again. You can be anything that you want and imagine, and the only thing getting in the way of that is your limitations of that possibility. We can all take classes, we can all train. We could use an extreme scenario like a singer. I'm a fairly good singer, like a good karaoke singer. Could I be Mariah Carey on the stage? I don't know, probably not. I don't believe I was built with that kind of skill set. But what would happen if I went to voice coaching and I worked hard to try to grow my voice? Who knows if people just wake up with those kind of talents or it's the work and effort that they put into it. But even then, if I loved singing that much where I wanted to go somewhere with it, even if I wasn't Mariah Carey, I could be a damn good cruise ship singer or a restaurant singer if I worked at it hard enough. Maybe the things that make us dream are the things that are within us somewhere. Maybe we could go to lengths that we never knew possible. Maybe the gifts that we have we're meant to have. And yes, some people do have to work harder at those gifts and talents than others. But that doesn't mean that they can't be worked on and you can't get to where you want to go. So why are you so hard on yourself? When did you stop believing in life and the possibilities and who you are and who you could be? When did you stop allowing yourself to be capable of anything? Don't you remember when we were all children and we would be like, what do you want to be when you grew up? And we would all have this awesome, wild, random, off-the-wall thing and these ideas. We just dreamed and we didn't even know what they meant or how we were going to get there, but we knew we wanted it. What happened? Did you cut yourself small because you were like, that dream is too big and I'd have to work too hard to try and get there, so it's not worth it? Did someone else tell you, no, that could never happen for you. That's not possible. You're not good or worthy enough. Or did you just want to conform to fit in and be like everybody else and play it safe and do whatever the next thing? What was it that got in the way of you believing in and becoming you? And what would happen if you started to believe in yourself again? If you believed in what you were capable of and anything that you could become? What if you let this thing go that you keep holding against yourself? So what you didn't show up perfect? So what you made a mistake? What are you going to do on the other side of it? Are you going to learn a lesson? Are you going to show up different? Are you going to show up better because of it? Or are you going to continue to make that same mistake and get the same result? Or maybe even harm yourself worse because you're beating yourself up and bullying yourself because of something that happened, and sentence yourself to a life of misery. Life is too short not to forgive and not to love. At the end of your life, if you're lucky enough to make it to a deathbed and life doesn't sidesweep you, you're not going to think, I could have did that better, or I should have did this or that different. You would think, wow, I wish I was easier on myself and I just let myself be who I was and live more. I wish I wouldn't have been so hard on myself. You deserve to be kind to yourself. You deserve to believe in yourself. I remember when I heard someone say, if you are 1 in 1 million, then be the one. And I remember that spoke to me that day. Why can't I be the one? What would get in the way of me doing and becoming all of the things that I wanted? Who determines who succeeds and who does not? I think that's up to me. I remember a friend asking me, how do I talk to myself in my head? And I thought, wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I never really thought about it. I've never paid attention. I'm going to try to look for that now. And I caught it when something happened and I spilled something and I made a mistake and I wanted to blow up and start beating myself. And instead I caught it and I laughed and I said, it's okay. It's just a mess. We can clean it up. It's okay. Mistakes happen. Those little shifts lead up to bigger things. And then there was a time in my life I felt like I needed validation and approval. Like I wanted to know what everybody else said. And that's what I thought would make me feel good enough or worthy. And I thought, you know what? How about I give that to myself? How about every night I write a love letter to myself? Something that I would want to hear from somebody else, but instead I say it to me and I give that to me. And I did that every night for a year. I committed to myself and I gave myself that love. And I still have it today. And I love to open it up to a random page and read it and look back on. It's one of my most cherished treasures because I invested and I spent that time on me and with me. And I gave me all the things that normally we look for outside of ourselves, but I gave it to me. No one else has that kind of power or control over me when I can do and become and love me in any way that I want. Who are you expecting to come in and save the day? Are you looking outside of yourself, or are you looking within yourself? What do you think when you see somebody living the life that you want to live, or maybe accomplishing the goal that you want to accomplish for yourself? Do you think, wow, that's awesome. If they can do it, I can do it too. Let's do it together. Let me reach out to them. Let me ask them questions about how they got to where they are. Let me ask them their tips and tricks. Let me learn from them. Are you inspired, or are you comparing? Oh, look, they can do it. They're so special. It must be so easy to be them. I wish I was them. But no, I'm me, and I suck, and I can't do this, and I'm not doing it even though I should. What is your perception? How are you perceiving this thing that you want for yourself? I also believe that it is best to not go through life alone. I believe in people that hold you accountable, that can mirror and point out things that they observe in you that you may not be seeing within yourself. I believe people that can inspire you and coach you and teach you how to get somewhere that you want to go. I believe in a support system that will listen to you and empathize and understand what you're going through and where you're coming from. So are you bringing other people in and sharing your truth and allowing them to help you? Or are you isolating and trying to figure it out all by yourself? Do you deserve love and connection? Do you deserve relationships and support? Because I think you do. If you want to experience something different in your life, you have to do something different to get it. If you are stuck in a rut, or you keep repeating something or making a similar mistake, or the mistake leads into another one and it's an endless train of mistakes, you can break the cycle. You just have to be willing to acknowledge that this cycle and this way of thinking and behaving and talking to yourself isn't working, and that you're willing to do something else to get a different result. And then what is that next step? Maybe it's just not talking to yourself that way anymore. Maybe it's just observing it and catching it. Maybe it's just considering looking out for it. It's just the little baby steps that then lead into the next one. Then you catch it. And then you think, wow, what could I say to myself that would be nicer right now? And then you try saying something nice to yourself in your head. And you think, wow, that actually made me feel a lot better. I want more of this because I don't want to keep holding myself back anymore. I deserve a good, happy, and full life. How I got to unloving myself and self-sabotaging, to really paying attention and becoming aware and really caring for myself and doing the next right thing because I knew it would make me feel better about myself, even though it may be hard sometimes. That wasn't an overnight thing, and it's definitely not something that I was just born with and was natural for me. It's something that I became open to understanding, open to exploring because I was inspired by other people that had what I didn't feel like I had. And I wanted to know what I needed to do to get there. So I took suggestions and I didn't try to do it alone. I let other people in, and they helped me see and believe in and love myself in ways that I never would have known how without them. And that's where it began. And it's been a journey now of figuring out and exploring that and checking into myself every day. On social media, I've been sharing that I have been trying to do a Peloton workout bike every day. And I originally had the goal of 30 days straight. But a weekend came and I was out of town. I wasn't at home to do the bike. And I chose it's okay to not go home just to do the bike. And it is okay that I'm away and I can't make it on the bike right now. And then the next day I got home and I thought I'm really tired right now and I could use some rest, and that's okay. I don't have to do the bike every day, but I'm also not going to stop doing the bike. And so that next day I said, okay, I had a few days off of fun and rest, and here I am getting on the bike again. We are allowed to adapt. We are allowed to reconsider our original goals. We are allowed to be kind to ourselves and not hold ourselves hostage. And we are allowed to give ourselves credit. I gave myself credit that I went as far as I could in that day stretch. I think it was like 21 days straight before I was out of town and then was resting. And I said, that's okay. I can still do 30 days, even if it's just not right in a row. I will get back on tomorrow. I'm not going to fail and give up on myself because it didn't go exactly as I thought or I planned, or I didn't fit the standard or expectation that I had for myself. I'll make a new one, that it's okay to take self-care days. Just today, I was feeling a little off and I didn't want to not do my workout bike. I did want to at least get on and try, but I negotiated with myself, maybe not the usual 20 minutes that I do. How about 15? I wanted to cut myself down to 10, but I was like, I think you could do 15. Even if I just did the bike a little bit slower and not push myself to my full extent, it's still about just getting on and doing it and doing the best I can and allowing that to be good enough. When are you going to start allowing yourself to be good enough? What is good enough? For me, it's showing up and doing the best I can and being kind to myself along the way. That is good enough. I remember when I was in school and I had this perfect standard of I want to be a 4.0 student. And that's a good goal to have, but sometimes there's subjects or classes that you might struggle on a bit, and that might not be attainable, and that's okay. But what I will allow myself to do is the best I can. When I did the test and I turned it in and I had fear and anxiety of how did I do and was it good enough, I asked myself, I said, did you do the best you can? And I said, yeah. And then I said, well, then it's definitely good enough. Give yourself credit. You deserve it. No matter how many mistakes you may have made or how many goals you set that you didn't follow through to your standard and your expectation, which is probably perfection, you have accomplished a lot along the way, and that deserves to be celebrated. So I would like to take a moment to pray for you. Invite in your God, your higher power, the universe, your Mother Earth, your Father Fire. God, I pray over the listener. I pray that this listener knows just how loved they are, how capable and deserving that they are to do and accomplish all of the things that they wish for, dream of, and hope within themselves. I pray that they know that that inner child that once existed within them is still there and is still dying to be paid attention to and channeled. The inner child just wants to have fun and be at peace and be seen and accepted. I pray that this person acknowledges that, maybe puts their hand on their heart and whispers to themselves, I love you. I pray that they're open to doing new things, to getting out of their comfort zone and trying something different to get a different result. They are worthy and deserving of the results they seek, and they are just on the other side of their limitations on themselves. I pray that you give them the willingness and the inspiration to believe in themselves and everything that life has to offer. I pray that they have people around them that will inspire, encourage, and support them. And if they need to be loved before they can love themselves, I pray that they find the people that will give that to them and that will be there. And I pray that they know that you are always there with them, believing in them, loving them, encouraging them, and never, ever, ever giving up on them. I pray that they find you and that they feel your presence and know that you're there. Amen. I would now like to go into affirmations. This is the key of starting to talk to yourself kinder and more constructively and respectfully. Say it in your head or out loud. I am lovable. I am capable of accomplishing this goal. I allow myself to be imperfect. I love and encourage myself through my mistakes. I know that I am loved and that other people and God loves me. Today I choose to love myself. Thank you so much, my dear friend, for showing up on this podcast episode today. I really hope that you received something from this and that it helped get you thinking or feeling maybe a little bit more positive and fully about yourself. All I ever want is for you to know that you are loved and supported and to try to build the best relationship with yourself that you can because you deserve it. Everything in life begins with you, and so set yourself up for a good day and get out there and do the best you can. It is good enough. If you love this podcast, please share this with a friend and also make sure to leave me a review so others can find it too. And I really hope to see you again next week on an all-new episode. Until then, live well and be happy.